This is the EdExcel GCSE Maths Paper 3 from the Foundation Papers, and it's from the 2023 series. Question number 1. We have to write the number 3107 in figures. We have 3107 shown here in figures. Question 2. We have to write 3/10 as a percentage. To go from a fraction to a percentage, we have to multiply by 100. So I have 3/10 being multiplied by 100. It turns out we get 30%. Question number 3, we have to simplify m plus m plus m plus m. Altogether we have 4 m's, so we have 4m. Question number 4, we have to change 4,000 grams into kilograms. From grams to kilograms, we have to divide by 1,000, so we have 4,000 divided by 1,000, which is 4, so 4,000 grams is 4 kilograms. Question number 5, we have 7, -5, 3, 9, -2. We have to write these numbers in order of size. We have the smallest number, -5, followed by the next smallest number, -2, followed by the 3, followed by the 7, followed by the 9. We have written the numbers in order of size with the smallest first. Question number 6. The diagram shows a shape on a centimeter grid. We have to work out the area of the shape for part A. Let's count how many squares we've got. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So the area is 14 centimeters squared. For part B, we have to find the perimeter of the shape. So if we work out what each length is, here we have 2, here we have 4, here we have 1, here we have 2, here we have 3, and here we have 6. So to find the perimeter, we need to add all these together. So we have 2 plus 4 plus 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 6, which is 18. So the perimeter is 18 centimeters. Question number 7. Here is a 4-sided spinner. We've got 1, 2, 2, and 3 labelled on it. Samina spins the spinner once. We have to choose a word that best describes the probability that the spinner lands on 2. Well, how many 2's do we have? We've got 1, 2 of them out of 4. So the probability of landing on a 2 is a half, which means we have evens. Part B, choose the word that best describes the probability that the spinner lands on a number less than 4. Well, all of the numbers 1, 2, and 3 are less than 4, so this is certain. Ralph rolls a biased dice once. The probability that he gets the number 5 is 0.4. We have to work out the probability that Ralph does not get the number 5. So the probability that he does not get the number 5 is 1 subtract the probability that he gets the number 5. So we have 1 subtract 0.4, which is 0.6. Question number 8. A quadrilateral has 4 right angles and 4 sides of equal length. For part A, we have to write down the mathematical name of this quadrilateral. Well, we have a square. The diagram shows a solid shape. For part B, we have to write down the mathematical name of this shape. Well, we have a rectangle which has been extruded by a certain length, meaning we have a cuboid. Question number 9. The table shows the number of books read by 4 people in 1 month. For part A, we have to work out the median number of books. Well, we've got 1, the 5, the 7, and the 9. The middle number is here between the 5 and the 7, that's 6, so the median is 6. For part B, we have to find the range. The range is the biggest number, take away the smallest number, so we have 9, the biggest number, take away 1, the smallest number, which is 8. So the range is 8. Part C, on the grid, we have to draw a bar chart to show the information in the table. So we need to represent these data in a bar chart. Our maximum number is 9, our smallest number is 1. So let's create a scale from 0 to 10. So X, that's given by 7, M, that's given by 9, K, that's given by 1, and T, that's given by 5. So here is the completed bar chart. Question number 10. Wayne begins walking at 8:30 am. He walks for 1 hour 45 minutes. Wayne then rests for 15 minutes. He then walks for 85 minutes to a calf. Does Wayne get to the calf before 12 noon? You must show how you get your answer. So we start off with 8:30 am and then we add on to this 1 hour 45 minutes. So if I add on 1 hour, I get 9:30, and then if I add on 45 minutes after that, I get 10:15 am. After that, he rests for 15 minutes, so adding 15 minutes to 10:15 am, I get 10:30 am. And then he walks for 85 minutes to a calf, so I need to add on 85 minutes to this. Now 85 minutes, that's the same as 1 hour 25 minutes. So if I add on 1 hour 25 minutes, I end up with 10:55 am. Clearly, 12 p.m. is after this 11:55 am. So yes, he gets to the calf before 12 noon. Question 11. Gabriel thinks of a number. He multiplies his number by 5, then adds 7. His answer is 72. What number did Gabriel think of? If I let his number equal x, what happens is, with this number x, he first multiplies it by 5, so we have 5x. After that, he adds 7, so we have 5x plus 7, and his answer is 72. So 5x plus 7 is equal to 72. If I take away 7 from both sides, well, we have 5x equaling 65, and dividing both sides by 5, x is equal to 13. Question number 12. Some students took a guitar exam. The pie chart shows information about the grades the student got. Distinction, merit, pass or fail. Part A, we have to write down the modal grade. The modal grade represents the most common. That's the one with the largest angle, which is merit. Part B, 7 students got distinction. We have to work out the total number of students who took the guitar exam. Well, we've got 105 degrees for distinction. 7 students got distinction, so we have 7 students equals 105 degrees. We want to find out the total number of students, so we need to find ultimately 360 degrees. So let's find out how much one student is worth. Well, 7 to 1, I divide by 7, so 105 divided by 7 is 15. So one student is 15 degrees, and therefore for 360 degrees, for all the students, 15 to 360 are times by 24, so 1 times 24 is 24. So 24 students is equal to 360 degrees, which means in total we have 24 students who took the guitar exam. Question number 13. Rowena drove from her home to a beach. Here is the travel graph for her journey. That's shown here. Rowena stopped at a calf on her way to the beach. How many minutes did Rowena take to drive to the calf? Well, to find out how many minutes it took to drive to the calf, well, that's the first part of her journey. So when she stops, she's at the calf. So that's from 12:30 to the time shown here, 12:30. So for her to drive to the calf, that's this portion here, which corresponds to 30 minutes. We have to write down the distance from Rowena's home to the calf. So the distance from here to here is given by 10 miles. Rowena stayed at the beach for 1.5 hours. She then drove home without stopping. Rowena arrived home at 1600 hours, which is the same as 4 o'clock. For part B, on the grid we have to complete the travel graph. So the first thing is, she stayed at the beach for 1.5 hours. So if I show that here, we've got the 1.5 shown in pink here. Then she drove home without stopping and arrived home at 4 o'clock. So here is her going home. So here is a completed graph. Then for part C, we have to work out the average speed of the journey from the beach to Rowena's home. So we're at the beach and then we're going home. Here we have 35 miles done in the space of 1 hour, which means the average speed is 35 miles per hour. Question number 14. 120 boxes cost £6, 270 bags cost £10. A bag is cheaper than a box. How much cheaper? Give your answer in pence to one decimal place. Well, let's take a look at the box. £6 is the same as 600 pence, and to find out how much it costs per box, I need to divide this by 120, which means I have 5 pence per box. If I take a look at the bags, I've got 270 bags for £10. £10 is the same as 1,000 pence, and if I divide this by 270, I've got 1,000 divided by 270 equaling 3.70, etc. So this is the cost in pence per bag. So the difference between these is given by 5. Subtract this, which is 1.29, etc. pence, which is approximately to one decimal place, 1.3 pence. Question number 15. There are only red beads and green beads in a bag. The number of red beads to the number of green beads is 1 to 4. There are 35 red beads in the bag. We have to work out the total number of beads in the bag. So we've got this ratio of red to green being 1 to 4. I know that in total there's 35 red in the bag. So each part is worth 35. So for green then, I have 4 of those 35s, which is 140. And adding 35 to 140, we get 175. So there's 175 beads in the bag. Question number 16. We have to describe fully the single transformation that maps shape A onto shape B. Well, here we're going from A to B, so we have a rotation 90 degrees clockwise about the center at the origin. Question number 17. The diagram shows the position of town T. Town R is 55 kilometers from town T on a bearing of 65 degrees. We have to mark the position of town R with a cross. Use a scale of 1 centimeters to 10 kilometers. First of all, we can find out how many centimeters we need to draw. To do that, we need to do 55 divided by 10, which is 5.5. So we need to draw a line 5.5 centimeters on an angle of 65 degrees. So if I measure 65 degrees, I now need to draw a line which is 5.5 centimeters away from this point. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. So we've got R shown here. Question number 18. We have to solve 4 multiplied by 2x subtract 3 equals 20. First thing we can do is divide both sides by 4, leaving us with 2x subtract 3 equals 5. I can now add 3 to both sides, leaving me with 2x equals 8. And if I divide both sides by 2, I end up with x equals 4. Question number 19. Jenny invests £3,000 for 6 years at Y% simple interest per year. At the end of the 6 years, Jenny has received a total of £450 in interest. We have to work out the value of Y. Well, what we can do is find out how much interest we have per year. So the interest per year is equal to 450 divided by 6, which is 75. So we have £75 per year interest. So if we have Y% simple interest per year and we invest 6 years and we're investing £3,000, that means Y% of 3,000 is equal to 75. So I've got Y over 100 times 3,000 equals 75. I need to find out what Y is. So I'm going to multiply by 100 and then divide by 3,000, leaving me with Y is 2.5. So we have 2.5% simple interest per year. Question number 20, part A, we have to simplify m squared cubed. Well, here we have a base to a power to another power, so we multiply the powers, leaving us with m to the power of 2 times by 3, so we have m to the 6. Part B, we have to simplify x to the 5 times x to the 8. We have the same base and we are multiplying, so we add the powers, so we have x to the 5 plus 8, which is x to the 13. Part C, we have to expand 4p times p squared plus 3p. 4p times p squared is 4p cubed. 4p times 3p is 12p squared. So 4p times p squared plus 3p is 4p cubed plus 12p squared. Question 21. Johnny wants to know how much coffee he will need for 800 people at a meeting. Each person who drinks coffee will drink 2 cups of coffee. 10.6 grams of coffee is needed for each cup of coffee. Johnny assumes 68% of the people will drink coffee. Part A. Using this assumption, we have to work out the amount of coffee Johnny needs. Give your answer correct to the nearest gram. We can first of all find out how many people drink coffee. We've got 68% of 800, and if I work this out, we get 544. So 544 people drink coffee. Now each person drinks 2 cups of coffee, so the cups drunk is 544 times 2, which is 1088. In each cup we have 10.6 grams of coffee, so the coffee needed will be 1088 times 10.6. If I work this out, I get 11,532.8 grams. So we have 11,532 grams. Johnny's assumption is wrong. 72% of the people will drink coffee. How does this affect the answer to part A? Well, more people then will drink coffee, so we need more coffee. Question number 22. ACF and ADG are straight lines. BCD and EFG are parallel lines. To show that triangle ACD is isosceles, give a reason for each stage of your working. Well, we want to show that this triangle is isosceles. Now the first thing we can do is find out this angle here. The angle BCA, that's given by, well, that's going to be the same as this angle EFC, which is 125, because we've got corresponding angles. We can now find out what this angle here is. So the angle ACD, that's equal to 180 subtract this 125, which is 55 degrees. And the reason for that is because we've got angles on a straight line which sum to 180. I can also find out what this angle here is. So the angle ADC, that's equal to 180 subtract the 110, which is 70 degrees. So I've got 70 degrees here, and the reason for that is because I've got angles on a straight line which sum to 180. So I can find out this missing angle using the fact that angles in a triangle add up to 180. So that angle CAD is equal to 180 subtract 70 subtract 55, which is 55 degrees. And that's because angles in a triangle sum to 180. So we've got the angle ADC equaling the angle DAC, which are both 55. So because we've got two angles which are the same, the triangle ADC is isosceles. Question 23. It takes 14 hours for 5 identical pumps to fill a water tank. How many hours would it take 4 of these pumps to fill another water tank of the same size? So I've got 14 hours, which is 5 pumps. So I can find out how many hours it will take for 1 pump. Now from 5 to 1, I divide by 5, so which means for 1 pump it will take 5 times longer, so I times by 5, leaving me with 70 hours for 1 pump. So I want to find out how long it will take for 4 pumps. So we have 4 times as many pumps, which means it will take 4 times less. So 70 divided by 4 is 17.5 hours, so it will take 17.5 hours. Question 24. A and B are numbers such that A is equal to 2 squared times 3 to the 4 times 7 and B is equal to 3 squared times 7 squared. For part A we have to find the highest common factor of A and B. So A is equal to 2 times 2 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 times 7, and B is equal to 3 times 3 times 7 times 7. So when we find the highest common factor, let's see what's common to both. Well, I've got the 3 which is common to both, this other 3 which is common to both, and the 7 which is common to both, which means for the highest common factor I've got 3 times 7, which is 63. We now have to find the lowest common multiple. Well, for the lowest common multiple I have to multiply what's common to both, so that's the 3 times 7, and then I multiply by everything else. So I've got this 2, I've got this 2, then I've got this 3, then I've got this 3, then I've got this 7. And it turns out I get 15,876 as my lowest common multiple. Question 25. Lava flows from a volcano at a constant rate of 11.9 meters cubed per second. We have to find out how many days it takes for 67,205,600 meters cubed of lava to flow from the volcano. Give your answer correct in the nearest day. So, the time is equal to the total volume divided by the rate. So, if I work this out, I have 67,205,600 divided by 11.9. So it turns out we get 5,647,529.412 seconds. So what I need to do is convert this to days. So to convert this amount to days, I need to divide by, well, I've got 24 hours in a day, and I've got 60 minutes in each hour, so I times by 60, and then I've got 60 seconds in each minute. So if I divide this amount by 24 times 60 times 60, I get 65.36, etc. So in other words, 65 days. Question 26 here is a graph of y equals x squared subtract 2x subtract 2. For part A, we have to write down the coordinates of the turning point on the graph of y equals x squared subtract 2x subtract 2. Well, the turning point is where the graph goes from a negative gradient to a positive gradient. It's where the gradient of the tangent is 0. That's here, and that's got coordinates 1, -3. We now have to write down an estimate for one of the roots of x squared subtract 2x subtract 2 equals 0. Well, where the graph equals 0 is where it crosses the x-axis, either here or here. So one of those points is x equals -0.7, and the other point is here, where we have x equals 2.7. So we have x equals -0.7. Question 27. A solid cuboid is made of metal. The metal has a density of 9 grams per centimeters cubed. The volume of the cuboid is 72 centimeters cubed. We have to work out the mass of the cuboid. So the mass is equal to 9 grams per centimeters cubed multiplied by 72 centimeters cubed. 9 times 72 is 648, so the mass is 648 grams. Question 28, part A, we have to write 9 times 10 to the 4 to the ratio 4.5 times 10 to the 6 in the form 1 to n, where n is an integer. So I've got this over here, and if I want to write this in the form 1 to n, I need to divide both sides by 9 times 10 to the 4. So 9 times 10 to the 4 divided by 9 times 10 to the 4, that's just 1. And on the other side, we have 4.5 times 10 to the 6 divided by 9 times 10 to the 4. Which is 50. So our ratio is 1 to 50. Part B, we have to write the following numbers in order of size. Start with the smallest number. So we've got the 5.625 times 10 to the 4 as an ordinary number. That's 56,250. Then we've got the 5,625. Then we've got the 56,250 times 10 to the -3, which is 56.25. Then we've got the 0.005625 times 10 to the 5, which is 562.5. So the smallest number is this one, followed by this one, followed by this one, followed by this one. So writing the original numbers down, we've got this smallest one, 56,250 times 10 to the -3, followed by the 0.005625 times 10 to the 5, followed by the 5,625, followed by the 5.625 times 10 to the 4.